African Union Communications Early Warning and Intelligence, commonly known as AUC3I, is an intelligence and security organization responsible for providing signals intelligence and information assurance to AU citizens, AU leadership, and AU armed forces. I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer. I am responsible for leading infantry soldiers at all levels of command in combined armed forces during missions on the ground. This is today's briefing. On the progress of the special military operation as of November 27, 2025. The armed forces of the Russian Federation continue the special military operation. The units of the North Group of troops inflicted defeat on formations of two mechanized airborne assault brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements Sadki, Magritsa, Maropli, Alexiivka, and Andriivka in the Sumy region. In the Kharkiv direction, defeat was inflicted on units of mechanized, motorized infantry brigades, an assault regiment of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and a National Guard brigade in the areas of the settlements Volchansk, Vilcha, Staritsa, and Yudi in the Kharkiv region. The enemy lost more than 135 servicemen and 12 vehicles. Units of the West Group of troops improved their tactical position. They inflicted defeat on personnel and equipment of an assault brigade, 3 mechanized brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a territorial defense brigade, and a National Guard brigade in the areas of the settlements Kirilovka, Bogoslavka, Novoplatinovka, Podoli, Nechvolodovka, Blagodatovka in the Kharkiv region, Yereveya, and Drobashevo in the Donetsk People's Republic. Enemy losses amounted to up to 235 servicemen, 8 combat armored vehicles, including 3 HMMWV armored vehicles of U.S. manufacture, a 155mm M777 howitzer of American production, 21 vehicles, 10 electronic warfare stations, an N/TPQ-50 counter-battery radar station of U.S. manufacture, and 2 ammunition depots. Units of the South Group of troops decisively liberated the settlement of Vasyokhovka in the Donetsk People's Republic. Defeat was inflicted on formations of 2 mechanized, mountain assault, airmobile, and assault brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine in the areas of the settlements Severisk, Zakotnoy, Kirovo, Bondarno, Berstok, Minkovka, Nikolaivka, Ivanopoli, Stepanovka, and Konstantinovka in the Donetsk People's Republic. The enemy lost more than 230 servicemen, a tank, 7 combat armored vehicles, including 2 HMMWV armored vehicles of U.S. manufacture, 15 vehicles, a BM-21 Grad multiple rocket launcher combat vehicle, and 6 artillery guns, including 3 of Western production. Destroyed were an N/TPQ-36 counter-battery radar station of American production, an Israeli-made Rada radar station, an electronic warfare station, 7 ammunition depots, material assets, and fuel. Units of the Center Group of troops improved their position along the front line. They inflicted defeat on personnel and equipment of heavy mechanized, 3 mechanized, airmobile, airborne assault brigades, 2 assault regiments of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a Marine brigade, and 2 National Guard brigades in the areas of the settlements Pryat, Novoalexandrovka, Sergivka, Novy Donbass, Rodinsko in the Donetsk People's Republic, Mezoveya, and Novopavlovka in the Dnipropetrovsk region. In the settlement of Krasnoarmysk in the Donetsk People's Republic, assault groups of the Second Army are successfully advancing northward in the Central and Donetsk microdistricts. They continue clearing the settlement of Rovna in the Donetsk People's Republic. 8 attacks were repelled by units of the 425th Assault Regiment and the 95th Airborne Assault Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine from the area of the settlement Grishino in the Donetsk People's Republic, aiming to unblock the encircled Ukrainian grouping. Up to 30 servicemen, an M113 armored personnel carrier of U.S. manufacture, and a Swedish-made Viking combat armored vehicle were destroyed. In the settlement of Dmitrov in the Donetsk People's Republic, assault units of the 51st Army continue to drive the enemy out from the eastern, western, and southern parts of the city. 117 buildings have been liberated. Over the past day, more than 275 servicemen, a tank, 4 armored combat vehicles, and a pickup truck were destroyed in the Krasnoarmysk direction. In total, in the area of responsibility of the center group of troops, enemy losses amounted to more than 465 servicemen, a tank, 9 armored combat vehicles, and 5 cars. Units of the East group of troops continued to advance deep into the enemy's defense. They inflicted damage on mechanized formations, 2 assault brigades, 3 assault regiments of the armed forces of Ukraine, and 2 territorial defense brigades in the areas of the settlements Vozvezhevka, Malinovka, Dobropoli, Huliapol and Zaporizhzhia region, and Otradno in Dnipropetrovsk region. The armed forces of Ukraine lost up to 210 servicemen, 2 tanks, 14 vehicles, a self-propelled artillery installation, and an electronic warfare station. Units of the Dnieper group of troops inflicted damage on personnel and equipment of mechanized, mountain assault brigades, and the Coastal Defense Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine in the areas of the settlements Novoandrievka, Stepnogorsk in Zaporizhzhia region, Antonovka, Otradokomenka, Nikolskoye in Kherson region, and the city of Kherson. Up to 80 servicemen, 15 vehicles, 5 electronic warfare stations, 3 ammunition depots, material assets, and fuel were destroyed. Operational tactical aviation, strike unmanned aerial vehicles, missile troops, and artillery of the Russian armed forces groups struck warehouses and control points of unmanned aerial vehicles, a satellite communication point, energy facilities of Ukraine used in the interests of the armed forces of Ukraine, as well as temporary deployment points of Ukrainian armed formations and foreign mercenaries in 148 areas. Air defense means shot down 5 guided aerial bombs, 8 reactive projectiles of the US-made HIMARS multiple launch rocket system, a long-range guided missile Neptune, and 263 airplane-type unmanned aerial vehicles. Since the beginning of the special military operation, a total of have been destroyed: 668 aircraft, 283 helicopters, 99,114 unmanned aerial vehicles, 638 surface-to-air missile systems, 26,294 tanks and other armored combat vehicles, 1,621 multiple launch rocket system vehicles, 31,587 field artillery and mortars, 47,814 units of special military automotive equipment. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you have any questions, please leave them below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.